Welcome
to Dark Narratives. I'm Isabella.
And I'm Alexandria. So what's new?
Not really anything. We relax.
Your mic is a bit scratchy sometimes. I don't know why.
It?
Yeah, I don't know if it was just because you were moving a little bit or what.
Oh
yeah, when you move, what is that? Or do you have tearaway pants on or something? It sounds like that crunchy sound.
Is it?
Yeah, it's scratchy when that happens. What are you doing?
Moving in my chair.
Oh, weird. But it shouldn't be picking up that sound, should it? Is there a setting or something that it's on?
It's the same as last time.
Oh, weird. Oh, whatever.
Is that better though?
Oh, no, it got really bad just then. It was really bad. Loud, scratchy sound. Is it plugged into the right place? Yeah. I remember last time it had a wrong output or input or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. There you go. Is that better?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's 10,000 times better.
Oh, okay. Regardless, I don't know. First of all, I feel like just tired and just lazy tonight. But during the break, when Dylan's not home, I definitely, I know there's somebody there to pick up the slack a little bit so then I can be lazy. Then knowing when he goes back to work, I'm like, fuck, it's just me.
Yeah, that's rough. I know. I had to work from home for a couple of days there, and Lanny had to go to work, and it was no daycare.
Last week, right?
Yeah. I was trying to, and I don't know how many times I put Finding Nemo on. I was telling you I put Finding Nemo on for my daughter, and I forgot how funny that movie is. I can't believe it came out 22 years ago now?
That is insane. And it's funny that you say that because my oldest loves Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. I actually love Finding Dory. Both of them, it's so cute. Did you pick up on the first one, Finding Nemo, where he's in the fish tank and then they're like, welcome to Wanahakalugi.
Yeah, no, it's Mount Wanahakalugi.
Yeah, Mount Wanahakalugi. And I'm like, oh my God, I was dying.
And the shark that they were all having their AA meeting about not eating fish.
Oh my God, yeah. That show is so funny.
It's so funny. And it's a good segue because they are in Australia, right? In Sydney.
Oh, yes.
Well, today we're going over to New Zealand. So they're not the same, I know, but we're on that end of the world today.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
So this is a cautionary tale. It's we'll get
there's a lesson from it.
Well, there's Tinder in it, so it's that's why. Yeah, it's a Tinder one.
That scares me. That really scares me. I'm so glad that I am not in the dating scene, because it could be so scary.
Okay. On September 13th, 2018, 21-year-old Grace Millane graduated from the University of Lincoln in England with a BA in advertising and marketing.
Okay.
Yeah. Her father, David Millane, was a millionaire property developer also. So she is set up.
Her dad.
Well. Yeah. Her dad was a millionaire property developer who ran a construction company. So she had a great upbringing. Her parents could provide anything she needed. From all accounts, she was surrounded by extremely supportive and encouraging family members, her mother, Jillian, and her two older brothers. After years of dedicating most of her time to her studies, she wanted to take a year off and travel before starting her career in marketing. Following in her mother's footsteps, in October 2018, so just a month after graduating, she set off on her adventure. And she was retracing a trip her mother had done during her gap year too. However, I should mention that she was also a gifted artist and she enjoyed creating watercolor painting. And she would post her pictures on Instagram. In October, before departing England, she posted a photo of her last painting to Instagram that was a skull with the caption that said, "Two can keep a secret if one of them is dead."
Oh, that's super ominous.
Super eerie, yeah.
And also, that is like Pretty Little Liars. Have you watched that show?
I know, it was really hard for me not to sing that.
Yeah, right? That's exactly where my mind went immediately.
Yeah. She headed off to Peru.
Sorry,
solo.
This is 2018, I'm sorry, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, October 2018. She headed off to Peru solo and spent 5 weeks backpacking in Peru.
Holy shit. In Peru.
I guess the highlight of her trip was a hike along the Inca Trail to an ancient ruins of Machu Picchu. From South America, she headed to New Zealand. Her plan was to go from South America to New Zealand, then Fiji, and finally Australia before returning home.
Oh, that's
so this
incredible.
is a big trip. November 20th, 2018, Grace arrived in Auckland, New Zealand. And I was looking up New Zealand, and like I told you, there was 5.5 million people in New Zealand, and there's like 6 sheep for every one person.
Yes, that is such a weird fact.
And then also they have these massive bugs there. They have the biggest one of the biggest bugs in the world called a weta bug, and it's huge.
You said massive bug.
It's huge.
Freaks me out.
And
I actually don't even think I want to look that up.
No, they're really creepy looking. And then apparently there's a ton of birds there.
I'm not into birds, I gotta say.
Yeah, well, because that's what they're named after, the kiwi bird, right? Because there's so many kiwis there, I guess. And then apparently my New Zealand facts of New Zealand by Alexandria. And they're pretty weird looking little birds.
Oh my fucking, I love that. That's funny.
But back to our true crime. New Zealand is supposed to be one of the safest countries in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't know that. And especially since they've got such a large population in such a small space. But yeah, they're supposed to be super safe there. Back to Grace, she was traveling solo, but she was very outgoing and made friends really easily. After a week of traveling around New Zealand, Grace checked into Base Backpackers Hostel on the 29th of November in downtown Auckland. I guess this was a super popular hostel for backpackers to stay and meet other fellow travelers. It had a few bars in it. So it was kind of known to be a party hostel.
Yeah, okay.
And most of them are in their 20s and they're kind of traveling / partying, meeting people. And
looking for adventure.
Yeah. It was also a cheap place to stay and had a reputation of a party hostel, which, you know what? It sounds fun if that's...
Oh, totally. That would be really cool.
Because Grace was so outgoing, she made friends immediately, which makes me wonder why she needed any kind of app to meet someone, because that's what we're getting into. She downloaded Tinder while she was there, unless maybe she wanted to hook up with a local Kiwi and not a crab. She's into the accent.
Yeah. No, I could see that. Meet up with, locals and stuff there. So that makes sense.
Yeah. And, if she's into, I don't know, New Zealand guys, maybe she wanted to move. She's like, I'm going to meet a guy and move here or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
She downloaded Tinder while she was in Auckland because although she enjoyed making friends with other people at the hostel and discussing travel plans, she was also looking for a little romance. Yeah, a little love, a little New Zealand fling.
Why not while you're on a trip?
Yeah. And she's 21.
Oh fuck yeah. She's This all sounds right on par.
Yeah. Grace was also all over social media, sharing photos of her travels and keeping contact with her family through WhatsApp, sending them daily texts, and also constantly messaging her friends about her adventures. Her best friend Amina told reporters, Grace was really loving her travels. I could feel her positivity. I think Grace was happy in her life because she was achieving her long-term goals and realizing her dreams. That's nice. During the first 10 days of her trip in New Zealand, she was posting regularly and communicating on a consistent basis with friends and family. Her brother Michael later said that she was just sightseeing and traveling around New Zealand. She was in a good spirit and enjoying herself. Back to Tinder. On November 30th, she had matched with the New Zealand local. Apparently, he ticked all her boxes for her. He was a bigger build. I guess he was kind of described as like a rugby player build.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Tall and, not
solid
fat,
dude.
like thick. Yeah. So he was a bigger build, tall, brown eyes, and he was 26, a manager of an oil company.
Oh, fuck.
Successful. Grace was super excited to go out with this guy. She thought he was super cute. And she texted her best friend, Amina, and told her she was meeting up with this guy from Tinder named Jesse.
And Amina, though, is not obviously on the trip with her. It's just she's letting her friend know who's far away.
Yeah, because she's really excited. It was just
okay.
Tinder. I met this guy, Jesse, super cute, tall, 26. So he's a little bit older than her. On December 1st, the day before her 22nd birthday, by the way, at around 5:45, Grace showed up at Auckland's Sky City, which was a casino, hotel, and restaurant, and you could rent rooms there for long term too. So it was also kind of an apartment. It was just 2 blocks away from her hostel. So she wore a black, it was close, and she's meeting this guy. She wore a black t-shirt dress and white low top Converse.
I love.
The two went on to do a bit of bar hopping, stopping in several different places, getting more comfortable with each other. Throughout this entire time, Grace was texting her friend Amina updates, telling her how great the evening was going, how amazing Jesse was. So she was kind of checking in too. Yeah. But also I think she was just more excited. Mm-hmm. She also told Amina that Jesse too was traveling and currently living in a hotel. And apparently in a few months, he had plans to travel to London. The last text Amina received from Grace was, literally, I click with him so well, I'll let you know what happens tomorrow. But that would be the last text she sent to anyone.
Really?
Yeah.
So she's totally loving what's going on. And I don't know what happens, but I just have a feeling that he has a totally different thing in mind.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, so the cautionary thing comes in with the Tinder. I don't know how popular Tinder is now, but I'm sure there's a new one. The next day, it's her birthday. Like I mentioned, she's 22. The next day, everyone is sending her happy birthday messages. They're all going unread. No one is getting a reply. Hours go by. Her family at first isn't thinking the worst, of course. Maybe she doesn't have service. Maybe she's moving locations,
Right.
But then a whole day goes by with no contact, and they're starting to freak out.
Yeah, that's fucked up because it's not just like a regular day that they're not.
No, it's her birthday.
Back. Exactly. So that's really eerie.
Her brother said on Monday it was weird that we hadn't heard from her. So yesterday we started to make inquiries down the right channels and realized the last time she was seen was on Saturday by her roommates at the hostel. So that's not good. Mm-hmm. 2 more days go by with zero contact with Grace. At this point, her family is fully panicking, and they filed a missing persons report with the Auckland police in New Zealand. An investigation started, and Grace's father flew to Auckland, New Zealand. He got on a plane right after they did the missing person. Unfortunately, her mother couldn't join him because she was undergoing treatment for breast cancer.
Oh my God, that's gut.
Yeah, their family was already kind of
get on a plane to go get your baby because your body won't let you. Like as a mom, that would just be so gutting.
Yeah, and just the added stress of everything going on.
Yeah, she's already going through enough.
Yeah, it's a nightmare. And so a day later, Auckland's police detective Scott Beard told the press, since receiving a missing persons report around lunchtime yesterday, police are piecing together Grace's last moves, with the last sighting being on Saturday night, using CCTV footage from cameras around the city. Apparently, I don't know if it's just Auckland, but New Zealand they have way more CCTV footage everywhere.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of a thing that was mentioned.
That's good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what keeps them so safe.
Well, yeah, I kind of, yeah, there's something to be said about like privacy and all that, but I in the cases like this, I'm really happy that there's lots of cameras.
Yeah, exactly. It really helped out this investigation. So investigators released a photo of her that had been caught on a camera at Auckland's Sky City casino or bar, whatever it was. It's some kind of place. So at Auckland's Sky City, on the last night she had been seen, that image actually generated a ton of leads from the public. Investigators also discovered that all of Grace's belongings were still at her hostel, left untouched.
Oh,
scary. So Detective Scott Beard told the press, "We've spoken to a number of people at the hostel because she was in a room where there was at least 4 people staying, but no one knew anything." Also, this is weird. They found that she changed her itinerary to stay in Auckland until the 8th of December, but didn't tell her family or anyone. She was supposed to leave sooner, but she changed it. And investigators started looking into her social media, and they saw that she had not been active on there either.
Which is also weird. Well, and also she doesn't live out there. Like, everything she owns at that given moment is, I'm guessing, in the hostel. So for it nothing to be touched or missing or any signs of her and nobody see her is really jarring.
Yeah, nobody knew anything apparently. Of course, they could be lying, but still.
Yeah.
It's a hostel. You're kind of around people all the time. There's no real privacy there. 5 days after Grace had gone missing, police weren't fully convinced that it was foul play. A day later, the police released another photo from CCTV footage showing Grace getting off an elevator.
Sorry, what day did they see this?
A day. So 5 days go by, and then the next day, so on the 6th day, they released another photo of her, and she's getting off an elevator.
And when was that?
Well, that was the night. That was the night that she went missing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Also, she was getting off an elevator with someone. So they're not sure who this person was with, but they found that she was with someone on the night that she went missing. Her dad, David, also made an emotional appeal to the public at a press conference in Auckland. He basically saying that Grace has been missing for several days, and they're very concerned because they've never gone this long without any contact with their daughter, right. Saying she's usually a daily contact with the family, and essentially asking anyone for anything, if anyone has any information or whereabouts, to just come forward, like pleading. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so sad.
That just makes my stomach turn.
Ugh, could you imagine? And you're in a foreign country. Thank goodness they speak the same language.
No kidding, because you're in a country and you don't know where your kid is and you're trying to find her and nobody speaks your language. You have no idea where you are in the area. Like, gosh, this just
such a nightmare. Going missing in Mexico or something like that.
Exactly.
More than 25 detectives and officers were assigned to Grace's case, which is good. So they were on top of the shit. As they combed through social media, an officer noticed a new comment on Grace's most recent profile picture that read, "Beautiful, very radiant."
Okay.
Which I love that word, radiant, and now I'm mad about it.
I like that word too, but I don't like the way that was. Yeah, okay.
Beautiful, very radiant. The comment was left by Jesse Kempson. At first, they thought it was posted on December 2nd after Grace went missing, which the detective thought was odd. So they so she thought, why would he comment on the day after? So they thought that was odd. So they brought Jesse in for questioning and found out that he had been on a Tinder date with Grace the night before. And also the detective who saw the comment was wrong, and the comment was actually made the night that Grace disappeared on December 1st at 9:30 p.m., which seems more weird to me.
Fuck. And she met up with him around 5:30.
Yeah, 5:45, and so he's out with her and commenting on her Facebook page. I don't know, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's really weird.
This made Jesse become a person of interest to the police.
And also, why haven't you come forward before saying, "Oh, I was on a date with her. I know that's the last place that she was," if you're not suspicious?
Yeah, because this was all over the news and in Auckland.
Yeah, her dad made the plea and everything.
Yeah. The police also did a forensic test at his apartment. And according to Detective Beard, an examination of Jesse's vehicle and a room at the Sky City that Jesse rented. So like I was saying, you could rent basically an apartment room there. So he was renting a room there. They did an examination of his vehicle and the room, which led them to conclude that Grace was dead and had been murdered.
What the fuck?
Yeah, however, they still did not know where Grace was.
But they were able to come up with that idea just from looking at his house and his car?
So I'll tell you, and I'll get to it in a
happened?
minute. But what they found when they did the forensic test was not good. They found this guy pretty quick because, well, he was dumb enough to comment on her page, and then he was the guy in the elevator with her on the CCTV footage. He was the last person with her. She disappeared basically that night. During Jesse's interrogation, he initially said he didn't know anything. He said that they went on a date, and then he went into this weird rant about thinking he was being catfished in the beginning and didn't think Grace was who she really was. I was listening to his interrogation, a little bit of it. He was saying how he was so fearful for his safety, so he wanted to meet her in a public place, and he really emphasized how important his personal safety was.
Yeah, well, so was hers. She probably wanted to meet in a public space too, dummy.
Yeah, and the detective was like, I don't know what catfishing is. And so he was trying to explain how he thought that she wasn't who she really was, and Tinder's all about looks, and if you use a picture that's more endearing, then more people are going to swipe on you. He's explaining Tinder to
what the fuck? Well, then don't. It sounds like he hates it and he thinks that it's like not fair and everything.
Yeah,
but he's on it.
Yeah, so he didn't think she was real. However, she turned out to be who she was, and he told detectives that they just hung out and then they went their separate ways at the end of the night. He said, I went this way, and then she went that way.
Did he say what time the night ended?
No. So detectives didn't quite believe Jesse's story. He didn't mention what I was listening to. He didn't mention any kind of timestamp, but the detectives were not quite believing his story. Yeah. In his apartment, detectives used luminol to reveal 2 large pools of blood that had been cleaned up from the carpet and bloody footprints throughout the room.
Oh, okay.
And it was a very small room it was like a bachelor room.
Like
yes, footprints and then 2 large pools of blood. That's why they were like, this guy is suspicious.
Something happened, yeah.
Yeah. So on December 7th now, they brought him in for a second interview. And this time he arrived with a lawyer and a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
This time he fully confesses to accidentally killing Grace. And he gets fully emotional, by the way. It's so cringy to listen to. He tries to cry and then he'll stop and then he'll start crying again. It was just pretty fake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he tries to get the waterworks going. He tells them that he brought Grace back to his apartment, and Grace had began talking about the book 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay, fucker.
Right. Yeah, okay, fucker. And then apparently Grace asked Jesse to get rough with her, like the characters in the book.
Okay.
Like, no, she didn't.
Like, seriously, you just fucking met.
They then had consensual rough sex, he adds. And then he says he took a shower, fell asleep in the shower. Then woke up. He said he crawled back into his bed because he thought Grace had left. He goes on to say the next morning he woke up and found Grace laying in the floor with blood coming from her nose. And then he kind of starts getting hysterical. He says he said he started yelling out to her to try to wake her up and tried to move her. He then says he dialed 111, which is 911 over there. But he goes to say, but I didn't actually call them, but he was going to. Like, he punched it in, but then he didn't call.
Okay.
He said he got scared. And then they're like, well, why? He's like, well, it just looked bad with a dead body in my room, and Yeah, so he said he didn't.
I was just gonna say, he is saying that he had rough sex with Grace, and then they're done. He went and took a shower, fell asleep in the shower, and then when he got up, he came out and Grace was on the floor with blood coming out of her nose.
Yeah, from rough sex.
Okay, so I'm sorry, you had rough sex with her, and then when you guys finished, she was on the floor, and you just like walked away and had a shower and fell asleep, and you just left her on the floor?
Well, he thought she had left, he said. He said, oh, they had rough sex, and then he went and had a shower, and then passed out in the shower, and then he thought she left. And okay. I guess with the 50 Shades of Grey, we'll get to it, but I'll just say now, basically, he said that she wanted to be choked, so that's where the rough sex came in, where she was passed out, or now she's dead because he choked her too hard during sex.
This is all just such bullshit.
Yeah, so he went to dial 111, didn't actually, got scared. So you know what he does with her body? He goes and he buys a suitcase and comes back and puts her body in a suitcase. He put the suitcase on a baggage dolly from the hotel to transport her body down the elevator to his car, put her in the trunk, then went back to his room, and he says he fell asleep and he went for a nap.
And left her in the car in the New Zealand heat.
Yeah, and it's December there, so it's their summer right now. Like, it's hot there right now. Yeah, he tells detectives he put her in a suitcase, put her in the trunk, and then went to sleep.
Like, what the fuck?
The next day, he drove out of the city with her in the back, he says. He went into the bushes, he dug a hole, then put the suitcase in the hole and covered it. And the detectives asked him what he did with her possessions. I didn't really clearly get into detail of what exactly her possessions were, but I'm assuming her shoes, and she probably had a purse, right? Yeah. Or something. But he just callously says that he stopped crying.
He said her phone, things like that.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So he stops crying and says he just threw him away in a garbage at a park. He then went and cleaned his apartment and car. On the night of December 8th, Auckland police arrested 26-year-old Jesse Kempson for the murder of Grace Millane, even though he is pleading not guilty because it was an accident.
But then did all these things with her body.
He's only 26 years old. And what comes out next about Jesse Kempson is fucked up. And this was no accident at all.
Well, I just want to say, too, that the whole thing about she was referring that she had mentioned 50 Shades of Grey and that she wanted to be choked and she wanted like very rough sex. And he was just giving that to her because that's what she wanted. Like, that's such bullshit, because if that's actually what Grace wanted, there is, like, I'm sure that there's a place where you can go for consenting adults to engage in something like that. There's actual rules, like a dominatrix
and stuff.
Yeah, like there's actual rules to something like that, so it doesn't go that far. So he's just so full of shit.
Yeah, and even if you're, having rough sex or whatever, it's not.
It just like goes that way because that's like in the moment.
Yeah, to go as far as accidentally choking someone to death.
Like you're holding, because it's not easy to just choke somebody by accident and they, what I mean? Like from what I understand, it takes a long time.
Yeah, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
On December 9th, police located a shallow grave an hour west of Auckland in the Waitakere mountain ranges. After walking about only 30 feet into the forest, detectives discovered where Jesse had buried the suitcase. Inside was Grace's body. At least they found her pretty easily, but yeah, he didn't go to any great lengths.
He's like, here's good. Fucking throws her in and walks away. Oh.
On December 10th, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda issued a public formal apology to the Millane family on the behalf of New Zealand, including saying, quote, this is just a little bit from what she said, from the Kiwis I have spoken to, there is an overwhelming sense of hurt and shame that this has happened in our country. She also said at one point, your daughter should have been safe here, but she wasn't, and I'm sorry for that. And it was so sad.
Oh,
that's so sad.
Yeah.
And it made me emotional to think about. I listened and she sounded very, very sincere
and just like, yeah, like genuinely concerned that this has happened in her country. Yeah.
On the same day, Jesse Kempson made his first appearance in court. And so because of all the CCTV footage the detectives obtained, police were able to piece together pretty much Grace and Jesse's entire evening, right up to when they both exited the elevator on Jesse's floor where he rented that room. So that picture of her getting out of the elevator was him and her that they released.
Wow, okay.
Looking for her. They also began to learn that Jesse is a pathological liar and perhaps even a psychopath. The more that came out about him, the more police started to believe that Grace's death was not an accident. I'll give you a little backstory on Jesse. Like, he lies so much, we don't really know what's true or not true, but I have a few things. Jesse Kempson was born December 28th, 1992 in New Zealand. When he was 9, his parents divorced and his mom moved to Australia with his brother. And I'm not entirely sure why she left him behind, but she left his dad and him and took his brother, and they went and moved to Australia. Jesse was raised by his grandparents for a while, but then he was reunited with his dad. His dad, I guess, remarried a woman who had a couple kids, and so he moved back in with them. But reportedly, apparently, Jesse said that his dad beat and abused him. So we're not sure if that's true or not, but yeah, that's awful if it's true. At the age of 19, Jesse had a falling out with this family. I read that they kind of told him that he needed to get help to be a part of this family or get out.
Jesse needed to get help?
Yeah, so I think that that point there, he was showing signs of kind of the sociopath signs, lying and stealing and stuff. And so the family kind of gave him an ultimatum and he decided to get out. So he moved to Australia for 6 years where he unsuccessfully tried to reconnect with his mother. I don't really know.
That sucks.
Yeah, that's sad.
I mean, I don't really feel bad for the idiot, but like
for the adult him, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But at that time, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't really know what happened there. In 2016, Jesse moved back to Auckland. This is when he started to develop a serious track record of telling lies endlessly, including he would tell people he had stomach cancer. He told people he was a manager of an oil and gas company, like he told Grace. Which he was not, by the way. Yeah. He said that he was earning $150,000 a year as a manager. He also told people he had a law degree. He told people his cousin played for the New Zealand All Blacks, which is a rugby team. He lied about his parents. Sometimes he would say his parents were dead and he was adopted by rich people. He would tell people his friends were mostly cops. He would also say he had gang connections. A source said he is a man who no one really seems to know much about because of his incessant lying. Even his own family had largely disowned him, appalled by his constant dishonesty and thievery. So that's kind of how I was saying they said you need to get help or you need to get out because we can't put up with this. And you're an adult.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, depending on the day, the person, the year, you might get a sob story about dead parents, adoption by rich business people, a highly paid career, a law degree, celebrity friends, all Black relatives, and that's the All Blacks, or like rugby team.
Okay. Oh yeah, because he was saying one of them was on the
on the All Blacks. A child living offshore. He even lied about having a kid.
What?
Yeah, various relatives with various cancers, fatal car crashes in his family, or that him himself was dying of terminal cancer, stomach cancer. He would lie about having stomach cancer.
You know what he makes me think of? Those people who every time you tell them a story, they have one 10 times better. And like their story's 10 times better. So they actually have to tell you their story. Like no matter what you say, they have something to add to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know. Okay, so from 2016 to 2018, Jesse was kicked out of multiple apartments and fired from multiple jobs, and that's when he moved back to Auckland, was when 2016. His grandfather said he would borrow money that was never paid back. On Tinder, he told one girl that he was adopted and had a mixed match family made up of full and half step siblings. But then he told Grace that he'd never seen his mom's side and he'd seen his father's side, but he'd love to see his full brother. He would tell different Tinder dates, different things about him. Just so scary. You never know.
It's almost like, okay, and then this day I'm going to be this person. I'm going to put this hat on. And then tomorrow night I'm going to put this hat on. And so you never get the real person. Like a chameleon.
How would you even know who you are at that point?
Oh, I don't think you would. I think that you're pretty fucking D at that point. I think I don't really think they're thinking about like, oh, who am I as a person?
Yeah, I guess. What are my values?
What's my goals for this? Exactly. Like when they
because it doesn't matter. If he wanted to be a successful entrepreneur or whatever, bam, he is one.
Exactly. You know what? Fuck that. Tomorrow I am one. I'm going to go to the bar and see who I am.
They don't know. He also said that he only came back to New Zealand to look after his sick grandparent in the Upper North Island, which was also a lie. Even his own lawyer said that his client was a liar. Got a good guy over here. What we do know as facts about him was that he was a heavy drinker and that he had several arrests for disorderly behavior while he was intoxicated in South Auckland and in Sydney, in Australia too. He also moved into an apartment in the City Life building in October of 2018 and rented a very small room. I saw a picture of it. It was tiny, like the size of an office. It was very tiny.
Oh, wow.
He told the owner he was being paid upward of $150,000 a year and he had a company vehicle, but he wanted a modest accommodation.
Okay. The manager is probably like, okay, fucker, I've fucking heard every story.
Well, because he was probably like, okay, yeah, if you got this company, you'd be like, why are you staying in this tiny little room? Go buy a house. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he said he wanted a modest accommodation, preferring to spend his supposed salary on dining out and socializing and lifestyle. So that's why he didn't want to spend money on accommodation.
Okay. That is the most ridiculous thing I've not ever heard, but wow, that's up there.
Just odd. About the time of Grace's murder, the owner was going to confront Jesse because he saw him around the building at odd times of the day when he was supposed to be working. And then, so the guy was like, why aren't you at work? And then he also missed rent payments. And
okay, I was like, why does he care? But that makes sense.
Yeah, he was missing rent payments. And so he became suspicious.
Yeah.
And then also, before that, he lived with 3 other women roommates all around the same age, and they started to get suspicious. Space? No, and somewhere else. So before he rented this place, he had 3 other roommates at this other place, and they started to get suspicious of him because this is so weird. He would put on business attire and tell them he was going to work, but they found out that he didn't even have a job or a car or any friends.
What?
So they got super creeped out about him and asked him to leave. I was reading quotes and they were saying how they were scared to approach him because they were like, this guy obviously something's off, and they were getting really bad vibes from him. And you've got to be really crazy to put on a suit and pretend that you're going to work.
That's very fucking. You see in shows sometimes where the husband will lose his job, but then he'll leave every day and not tell
Go to the
his wife
bar with
he
his
lost
suit
his
on or
job.
something.
Something like that, because he's obviously going to get in shit from his wife and like he has something to lose. But this guy, he doesn't have anything to prove to these roommates.
Yeah, he's just,
Do you know what I mean? Like he's doing it just for sport, which
so
is
weird.
the fucking crazy part.
I mean, they say fake it until you make it, but
No,
I don't know. That's a little too far. They were scared to approach him to ask him to leave because that's how kind of creeped out they were from him.
Mhm.
But when they did, he said he had to leave anyways because his mom died and he was going back to Sydney, which was another lie.
Oh my God.
So, like, I don't know. He's just coming up with anything and everything. After that, because his mom didn't actually die, so he didn't go back to Sydney. But after that, he stayed with another woman, which is like just a platonic relationship for a few weeks, and stole $800 out of her closet. Apparently, he called her a week later, crying, doing the waterworks, confessing to stealing it, but never paid her back and just never talked to her again after that. It's just like really odd behavior. It was around this time that Jesse became noticeably more unhinged and violent, and he became obsessed with talking to women on Tinder. And I'm thinking it's just because you can be whoever you want on there.
Oh, for sure.
He began dating one woman. She said that when he got angry, he would threaten her with a kitchen knife to her throat. One time, he even chased her with a knife, telling her that the CIA had sent him to kill her, then forcing her to perform sexual acts on him.
Oh my God, that's really
Yeah, she didn't leave when that happened, but eventually she found out that he was talking to other women on Tinder still, and they were supposed to be in a relationship. So she left him and filed a protection order against him. And then another time on April in 2018, Jesse met another 21-year-old backpacker on Tinder, brought her back to his apartment where she refused to be intimate with him, so he raped her.
Oh my God.
He's getting really scary and, like I said, unhinged at this point. Just 6 weeks before meeting Grace, Jesse took another Tinder date back to his apartment. She also refused to have sex with him, so he started suffocating her by putting his full weight on her face. She was kicking and struggling but couldn't get free, so she decided to go limp and pretend she passed out or, just play dead. Yeah. And after a few moments, Jesse realized he finally stopped and became super apologetic, saying it was an accident.
Oh, so he's working himself up to this.
Eventually, the woman saw an opportunity to flee and escaped. But these are just stories of women who came forward. We don't know. He was on Tinder religiously. We don't know how many women actually were assaulted and traumatized by him. I don't think he killed anyone else. These were just the stories of women coming forward. Like, can you imagine?
Those are pretty violent.
Also, just a side note, on December 1st, when he went out with Grace, Jesse actually asked a different woman that he'd been chatting with for over 6 months at the time to meet him, but she was busy, so she couldn't. So she just escaped because that was the night that he went out with Grace instead. Fate was on her side there.
No kidding.
So now all this crazy information coming out about Jesse, police also go through Jesse's phone. This is what really incriminates him because he told police that they had rough sex and then he took a shower, fell asleep in the shower, and then went to bed. On his phone, they find that at 1:30 a.m. on December 2nd, Jesse did a search for Waitakere Ranges where Grace's body was found. He next searches hot as fire. So it was clear to police now that Jesse lied about taking a shower, then falling asleep, like I said, then waking up and thinking Grace was gone. What he actually was doing in that time was looking for ways to dispose of her body. At 1:41 a.m., he started watching porn, then took photos of Grace's dead nude body before watching more porn on his phone until 2:17 a.m. So he's getting off on this, right?
Oh, yeah, obviously. Jesus fuck.
When he was done watching his porn, he then Googled rigor mortis, carpet cleaner, and extra large bags. Yeah, you're fucked. On the morning,
porn and his next search is rigor mortis because you've let this beautiful girl sit on the fucking floor. Wow.
Do you think that he Googled that to see if he could still have sex with her while she was dead?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past this guy because he's obviously like, if you're jerking yourself off while you have a body decomposing next to you
And taking photos
and
of it,
taking
nude
photos of it, I mean,
of
yeah.
her.
Mhm.
So gross. On the morning of December 2nd at 6 a.m., he began looking up car rental places in the area, as well as the large bags near, so places he could purchase a large suitcase near him. Later that day, he also searches for flesh-eating birds.
Oh my God.
What?
What
That's
the fuck?
a new one, right?
He wants to just leave her out in a field and see if the birds will
in the
take
New
care of his
Zealand.
mess.
I said there's a ton of different birds in New Zealand, and I'm thinking he thinks that there might be, because he also Googled asking if there were any vultures in New Zealand.
I was just gonna say there is the one bird that will feed on you know what I'm talking about?
It is a vulture, isn't it?
Yeah, so yeah.
They'll feed on decaying carcasses.
There you go. Yes, that's the word.
He's Googling flesh-eating birds, which is a new one to me. I've never heard of any kind of murderer looking that one up.
I agree. I have not either.
Then at 8 a.m., he messaged another one of his Tinder matches to go on a date with him later that day.
Oh, fuck, he's not done.
Nope, and he messaged her again at 10 and again at noon. With all this evidence now, not only are police convinced it wasn't an accident, but that he also experienced sexual gratification from murdering Grace and was possibly looking to do it again.
Yes, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I think, he was on, if he got away with it, he would probably...
I feel like he would totally be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like he was ready to go again. Like he's like, wow, this is a great high.
Yeah, it was like the feeling he was searching for.
Yeah.
Now he's just chasing the dragon.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
CCTV footage captured Jesse going on a date. So he did actually go on the date on December 2nd with a woman from Tinder, but the date didn't go as planned. The woman almost immediately felt like something was off with him.
Sorry, was this before or after?
No, this is December 2nd. So this is the
next day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he met up with her. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, at 6 a.m., he was looking for the rental car places and flesh-eating birds. And then at 8 a.m., he messaged this girl, and then again at 10, and then again at noon. So he met her at lunchtime, but she felt like something was off almost immediately. She said he seemed aloof, drank his beer very quickly, and talked a lot about venomous snakes. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. She said that he was telling obvious lies, then started talking about police having trouble finding dead bodies in the Waitakere ranges and how police dogs, and he was telling her how police dogs wouldn't be able to smell them if they were buried more than 4 feet under the ground. He then told her a story about a guy who killed his girlfriend by having rough sex with her and strangling her to death. Then added, funny how guys can make one wrong move and go to jail for the rest of their lives.
Our sex is just too rough sometimes.
Yeah, at one point they're really into this book, 50 Shades of Grey, and then the next point they're just dead on your floor.
Yeah, what the fuck?
By the end of the date, she wanted to get away from him as soon as possible. And she said that they had parked beside each other, but he didn't know her vehicle. She just wanted to get away from him so bad. She said that she parked somewhere completely different and just like booked it out of there.
Oh my God. I could just imagine her feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure her life was saved because I'm sure you were saying he was going to do it again, most likely. Mm-hmm. Although the evidence was overwhelming, Jesse still pleaded not guilty and maintained that it was an accident due to rough sex that she wanted and gone wrong. And it's really messed up because he pleaded not guilty. Grace's family had to sit through an extensive, drawn-out trial that put Grace on display, and it was just really sad because it was re-traumatizing the victim, basically, because he was saying how she wanted this rough sex and just like lies, right? And her family has to sit there and listen to this guy, and she can't tell her side of the story. And
they have to listen to their baby's last moments.
Just because this guy it was accidental rough sex. Now, they brought in the pathologist. So I didn't really say exactly how she died during the rough sex because I wanted to talk about the pathologist, because they brought a pathologist into the trial to prove just how implausible it actually is to accidentally strangle a person to death, because it came out in her autopsy that her injuries were strangulation. The pathologist says during sexual strangulation, a person being deprived of oxygen to their brain will pass out and be completely unresponsive after just a matter of seconds. If you're, some people like being choked or whatever, and then if you you can accidentally make someone pass out, and then at that point you would freak out, right, and be like, oh, wake up, and they're just being deprived.
You wouldn't keep holding on.
No, so in order to go on and kill that person, you'd have to continue to apply constant forceful pressure for at least 4 minutes minimum.
That's no accident.
So if you think about it, that's hard. You're using
That's like
muscle.
Him, sorry to interrupt. That's like him, choking her. She passes out and him not relenting even a little bit when she passes out. To be
for
like, oh shit.
4 minutes. Take a pillow and squeeze it as hard as you can for 4 minutes. So you wouldn't be able to so long.
And and not let up a little bit.
Yeah. Making it completely unreasonable to believe someone could accidentally kill someone like this. For much of this 3-week trial for the murder of Grace, Jesse looked stone-faced, occasionally glancing down at the court papers in the dock and turning a page. When the evidence was particularly graphic, he would hold his head in his hands. And when the verdict was delivered, Jesse stared straight ahead before being sent out of the room. Ultimately, the jury found Jesse guilty of first-degree murder, and in February of 2019, he was sentenced to life with a minimum of 17 years of no parole for the murder of Grace Millane.
I feel like it should have been.
Well, he's sentenced for life, but a minimum of 17 years with no parole. So he's got life, but he's got to serve at least 17 before he gets any kind of parole. So
I feel like that should have been way longer.
Like no
17, exactly. What the fuck?
I know I think he would have been 27 now, because it took a while to get, because we're in 2019 now and he's born in 1992. He was 26 at the time. I think maybe he was 27 when he got convicted. So what, in 17 years, he's 44?
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
That's still so young.
That's such a slap in the face.
And it's not like you can rehabilitate someone like him. Following that, in October of 2019, Jesse was also convicted of 8 charges relating to various attacks, including using a knife against a woman between November 2016 and April of 2017. And he was also, this added 11-year jail term for these 9 offenses. In total, there were 9 that he was convicted after this trial. All committed while he was living in Auckland, will be served concurrently with his sentence for the murder of Grace Millane. Kempson appealed against his conviction and sentence, because of course he did. But it was dismissed. They were like, fuck you.
They're like, you're an idiot. Don't even fucking. Well, I must say that think about 9 women who came forward saying that they were attacked, raped, chased with a knife, whatever. 9 people have come forward. Guarantee. If you have 9 people, that's a fucking lot of people.
Yeah.
Think about all the people who are not coming forward.
I know. It's also, I have something that their family, the Millane family, was going to say, but this defense of rough sex has actually been banned now since this in the UK. And so you're not allowed to use rough sex as a defense in the UK anymore, because it's just absurd.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're hoping
maybe
that
get a little bit hurt during rough sex, like a whoops.
Yeah.
But
end up in the ER with something up your butt that you can't get out.
Exactly. Or you like took a fall or something like that.
Well, there's that show, Sex Sent Me to the ER.
Yeah, that's a funny show. Something like that, but
yeah, but not this. So so that is kind of a positive thing that came out of this. And then the Millane family was hoping that, the rest of the world would follow in their footsteps, starting with New Zealand. So far, that's, I don't know, been 6 years and nothing really has progressed with banning that defense there. But the Millane family said that they do not think about or speak his name.
Good.
A statement, the Millane family said, to use his name shows we care and gives him the notoriety he seeks. We instead choose to speak Grace's name, allowing people to remember Grace, a young, vibrant girl who set out to see the world instead of a man who took her life. So that's sad.
So sad.
And then another really sad thing that happened just weeks after the trial, Grace's dad got diagnosed with terminal cancer and died.
Oh, fuck.
Just weeks after this. I think her mom was in remission for her breast cancer, but she was going through that treatment the whole entire time. Their daughter gets murdered, and then they get some kind of outcome, and then, her dad died of cancer. Just weeks after. So it's a very tragic case.
Yeah, I feel terrible for this family.
Yeah.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, so
it's terrible.
Be careful who you're talking to on those dating apps, because you can be anybody.
You really can. Always tell somebody that you are, in this case, I'm happy she was telling her friend. Always tell somebody where you're going if you're going to go on a date.
He was clearly a good manipulator, an amazing liar, because she felt so comfortable. She even said, I'm clicking with this guy so much. So
I hate that.
Yeah. There's really bad people out there.
There is. And what freaks me out is you could be, I don't know, grocery shopping or something, and you could pass somebody and they could have the darkest fucking secret.
I know. Isn't there a statistic where you pass so many murders in your lifetime or something?
I think, there probably is. And that really freaks me out. They could be having somebody at their house.
Oh, yeah. Or a body in a suitcase in a car. Because that whole time that he was on the date with that other woman the next day, Grace was just in his trunk in the suitcase.
Oh, God. Well,
should we tell people where they can find us?
Yes. I was going to say I would love people to email us your ghost stories or
just personal scary stories.
Yeah, if you have any, things that have happened in your life that have just been unexplained or scary or haunting, send them over to us because we love reading about stuff like that. And you can find us on Instagram at Darknarrativespodcast, TikTok at Darknarrativespodcast. And do you want to say our email?
Yeah, our email is darknarrativespodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
But it's on our Instagram bio too.
Yeah, and all pictures about the episode and everything like that will be on TikTok and Instagram too.
Oh yeah, and I was gonna say, and links to where you can listen to us, but obviously you found us.
Yeah, you found us.
Well, thanks for listening.
And that's it for this week. Remember, it's a dark world out there.
See you creatures next week.